Green 19! Green 19!
He brought that green 19 from Green Bay with him. And that pass is on the outside and hauled in, and probably again tonight.
Yeah, 9 snaps in the opener against San Fran, all the way up to 35 last week. Look at that effort, the length that he has at 6'4", and this guy could be...
Rodgers under pressure, down he goes. He is sacked at the 41-yard line. Dietrich Wise, who's been around for the last 8 years, 4th-round pick back in 17, takes him down for a sack.
You'll see this a lot tonight. Some games, what they like to do is stunt, move around from inside to outside. That time Uche moved from the outside in, affected the offensive line. Remember, you have 3 new pieces up front, 2 on the left side, and Simpson and Smith still feeling each other out.
319! 319!
Short drop, quick throw, good move, and despite hanging onto the shirt into the end zone goes Alan Lazard. Great move on Alex Austin that time. 8 plays, 73 yards, 3 rushes, 5 passes.
And Lazard's experience, understanding that there's any chance at any moment Rodgers will abort a run play. That's an outside zone to the right. He comes out of it. Quick release, as always, from Aaron Rodgers, and he gives number 10 a chance.
Will they come? Run a stunt up front and get to him. Sacked back at the 40-yard line. The rookie left tackle.
Yeah, remember the big emphasis this year with the league, with those left tackles getting into the backfield, and you can see he gets pressure from the left, but the entire pocket against that inexperienced offensive line just on that 3rd down just collapses on Brissett. Never had a shot.
Rodgers, pressured, gets away, throws, caught. Another 1st down. Breaking away is Lazard, who scored the touchdown. Still going out to the 41-yard line.
Throw on that 3rd down play, and a good job again by that offensive line taking care of it.
They were a reasonable facsimile of what they could have been. And bursting through, they needed a play like that, did the Patriots after this drive. Toss. Look out. And again, bursting through this time is Anthony Jennings.
Tries to make this block, but he cannot handle the size and quickness of Jennings, who gets inside of both he and Ruckert and gets into that backfield.
2nd and 17. Fired, caught, on the move, and it's a 1st and goal.
So he moves Raekwon McMillan, comes back to Conklin.
319! 319!
Ruckert is the fullback. On the ground. Can he get in? He rolls, and they're going to say he's short. Take another peek here.
Jennings makes a heck of an effort. That knee is up. I think that's a touchdown. I think he broke the plane. I think that's 6.
Crowd, of course, is seeing what you are seeing right now. Terry McCauley, what do you see?
Just exactly the way you see it. He's up. That knee is not down when the ball breaks the plane. This is a reviewable play, obviously. Coach's challenge. We'll see if they replay assist it.
Sometimes the replay assistant sees it.
180!
And you saw the alert, and the alert gets to him. That time it was Chuck Clark.
The ruling on the field is the quarterback's forward progress to stop. 3rd down.
Yep.
Disguising when that pressure was coming. With the motion that time from Hunter Henry coming from the right to the left.
1st sack in 3 seasons. 3rd and 9. Going deep and incomplete. And contact is there, and 3 more flags come in. 6 minutes to the half. Again, the alert. He comes in, but they come in from the other side as well. And nothing but green shirts are there.
We know his potential. He used to just be a speed outside edge guy as a rookie, and I think he's really developed like most guys do in their 2nd year. And with Jermaine Johnson down.
44-yard attempt. Joe Cardona, the longtime snapper. And the operation is very clean. And they get 3. You got 2 guys who look like they may come on the alerts. Neither comes this time. And Rodgers goes deep and finds the open man at the 47-yard line.
He looks to the left to move the safety after the snap. Look left, come back to the right, open up the middle, throw a laser right to Conklin for a first down.
2-minute warning. The Jets have 3 defenders at the goal line. So Brissett tries to find time, launches it into the end zone, and a lot of action back there, and knocked away.
This is the end.
Tony Adams yards in the first half, and the Patriots were held to 40. All right, so we start from the 30-yard line now. Stevenson is the back. Carried 4 times, 19 yards, and not a good beginning for these guys. McDonald is right there breaking through.
Nice job of collapsing down from the right. Watch these linebackers. You think they're waiting around for the double team to climb up? No way. Brissett standing in there being a man, knowing there's pressure.
3rd down and 4. Here comes the blitz. Pass is incomplete. Too much pressure. And down he goes. So a real fast 3 and out. Barringer's punt. Fielded. Gibson. 20, 30, and stopped at the 33-yard line, then slung down at that point.
He's not surprised. He's playing well.
Allen grew up watching him. Rodgers flushed out, keeps his eyes downfield, fires, finds the man. This time it's the tight end, Conklin.
He actually does a nice job. Aaron Rodgers steps up, and then Moses pins that pressure, and now he's got breaks outside contain, and the ability to kind of wait and find that open receiver. And he is as dangerous as anybody out there because of how quick that ball gets out and how accurate he throws on the run.
Rodgers, the fake, the throw, caught, staying inbounds, yes, touchdown. Garrett Wilson.
Team back in this game, jumps it, and if he does get there, he maybe has a chance, but that ball is, again, not to be a broken record, perfectly thrown to the outside, away from the defender, and there's that body control. First getting thrown into the fire. We've seen a lot of young quarterbacks last couple years, including this year.
Brissett, meanwhile, throws, and getting open, that time is Douglas.
Give him enough time, and it's good to see Pop Douglas get a chance to get his hands on the football.
Play action again, pressure again, sets up the screen, caught, Hooper, the tight end, rumbles all the way inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. Exclusively the right side in State College. 4-man rush here. Brissett flushed out again. Down he goes. Got rid of it at the end. Flag goes down. Quinnen Williams got to him.
To bring the blitz, but they do a nice stunt here with a big man bringing him around. Trying to confuse that offensive line. Nobody picks him up. Wallace is locked up.
And an overtime loss at home to Seattle. Rodgers on 3rd and 2. Looking downfield, fires, caught, open, 41-yard line, tackled there, Tyler Conklin. 2nd and 25. Look out. They didn't protect him that time. Down he goes at the 45-yard line. Uche coming in for the sack.
Get pushed into that backfield and you get rolled up on. It'll come from behind him as he's just trying to do everything that he can.
Meanwhile, Stevenson, who's been great, has only carried the ball 5 times, now make it 6 for 19 yards before that carry. And more action here now again. Now you got a little skirmish.
Yeah, it looks like the ball came out.
Maybe, yep.
Yeah. By the defense, first down.
He recovers it. He rips the ball out before the back is down. I mean, they might take a peek at this, but Stevenson trying to hold on to the football, but it looked like as he was going down, Chuck Clark rips that football out of his hands. Yeah, that ball's out before he touched. What a play.
That's confirmed.
Chuck Clark, it's not about growing up. It's just about him stepping up with Whitehead moving on to Tampa, getting more and more reps with his secondary. We saw a blitz and a good play earlier tonight on a sack.
319! 319!
Tripped up. Davis again, that time Jennings.
Early in his career, just trying to find his way, and last year taking advantage of that opportunity. Maybe it was when he came down.
3rd and 7. Rodgers flicks it, adjusting, making the grab. Mike Williams turned around, got position, hauls it in, beat Jonathan Jones on the play, 1st down.
This is why they brought Mike Williams over to New York, for these opportunities. Again, coming off that ACL, wondered how much he'd be able to help. It's been a great group effort, including Nathaniel Hackett putting that plan together.
Correction, they have Denver next. Meanwhile, the Patriots have to go to San Francisco. Rodgers to the end zone, adjusting. No, can't hold it in. Mike Williams has made so many of those catches in his career with the Chargers. Not this time, though, 4th and 3.
So good at going up into the air and high pointing the ball in these contested catches. He was actually starting to come.
28-yard field goal attempt to try to make it 24-3, which he does with ease.
And that's why they're going to have to continue to try to grow on that side of the football.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to find a top guy as a wide receiver. Meanwhile, that line breaking down again, and here come the gangrene guys.
Again, we're not used to seeing Jeff Albrecht dial it up, but he's very, very wise in changing things up. Welcomes him to the NFL.
Yeah,
that hit.
That's the welcome. I'm thinking the same thing. Meanwhile, breaking tackles and able to pick up the 1st down is Gibson.
It's a big night for him as well.
Yeah, he really wants to play well, Aaron said, to take some of the heat away from Hackett. Meanwhile, heat on May right there, and he gets sacked back at the 44-yard line.
Second year, getting bigger and becoming more of a complete defensive end.
May rolling against the grain. He's going to run. He's going to get the 1st down with 53 seconds remaining in regulation.
Of what you'd hope to see from him playing that quarterback position.
And that's caught at the 10-yard line. And setting up a 1st and goal will be Demario Douglas. May under pressure and gets sacked at the 12-yard line. Who's in there at the end? Tack McKinley. The Jets, who have melted under the lights, coming in, they'd lost 13 of 14 primetime games, 2-15 in the last 17 games at home in prime time.